It was nice. It was like a 10-minute wait, but it wasn't that bad.
So if you had to compare the vibe around the team, this time last year, I mean, how different is it?
I think just the chemistry and the culture itself is so much different than last year. Especially what we had last year, there were so many new dudes coming into the program where a lot of those dudes are from different schools, different lifestyles and stuff like that. So having like this kind of year that we have to kind of build that foundation and that chemistry that we need, it's so much more different around this time year round for sure.
What's the biggest lesson you took away from such a struggling year in 2023?
I think that it gives us more of that lesson where even though things go wrong, like we can still persevere, especially with the injuries that we had, that we can still get the job done, and I feel like that's what we kind of improved on this year. We still got to work on it, but it's just the toughness of the team. So I think that's one of the main things that we still have to kind of work on going into camp.
Besides all the new faces and more talent on the offensive line, what are some of the big differences you noticed from last year?
I think we have a lot more depth all around the offense and especially on the defense. We have running backs that can do it all. We have Ralik, we have Scat, Sip, and all those other dudes that could tote the rock. And I also think even in the receiver room, they're also really deep and they're also really good. They also had some injuries at the same time. But, I think the one thing that we are really good at on the offensive side is just depth. And the ones and the twos are just as good. So, I mean, we could throw anybody in there at any point in time and it'll still be just as good.
We're talking to Scat. I mean, the talent on the running back room is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
How fun is it as an offensive lineman to know you got back room behind you?
Oh, yeah, it's so awesome. I mean, you got dudes that can run the ball. I mean, with Scat last year, they were like, he kind of took a lot of the load. But with Ralik and all those dudes, seeing those dudes going kind of crazy in spring ball, it's awesome. Those guys are just workhorses for sure.
You're looking forward to maybe snapping Scat a quarterback again this year?
Oh, I mean, I'm not worried about it. I'm familiar with it, so I'm totally fine with it.
And you guys ran the swinging gate last year. Was that like the most insane football thing you ever seen?
Yeah, I've never been a part of a game plan like that. I mean, shout out to Coach Dilly. He for sure drew that plan up, and like I was like just snapping the ball, and I was just probably the first game I've ever had to where I didn't really have to block anybody. But yeah, for sure, that was like an awesome experience, especially come out with the win that game. Awesome experience.
But like, as you're practicing the swinging gate all week, you think like, man, there's no way this is going to work on Saturday? Or like, really confident it is going to work?
Like we were running that in practice. I was like, oh, this is probably just to throw them off and like do some stuff like that. So we had a set script where we were just going to run it in like the first, like one time throughout the first drive. And then all of a sudden we just kept doing it. And I was like, oh, wow, this thing is actually working. So, I mean, shout out to Coach Dilly with that game plan for sure.
What in your mind is the biggest goal that the offense has to achieve in fall camp to have all the dominoes fall after that?
I think that we just have to create a sense of toughness. I think we still got to work on that. There are still times where on the offensive side, when things get hard, dudes kind of complain and stuff like that. So I think going into camp, that's probably the biggest goal, to try to create adversity for the team. Just like the season, things won't go our way. We just got to find a way to respond. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.